Right, well, hello again, folks. I'm off out to meet my guys for the club that I'm in, bike club that I'm in. We're going to have a bit of a scran today and a couple of games of pool, whatnot, at the Tally Ho in Winchborough. I'm sure it used to be called something else, but Tally Ho was the battle cry when the bar fight started, so nah, just joking. So yeah, I've not been in that pub for quite a while now, so it'll be good. Pub lunch, bit of fun. Anywhere there's food, that'll be it. Alright, get away before him. And here, it's warmed up a bit, but the roads are still damp and greasy. We've not had enough warmth or wind to dry them off, so I'll just be taking my time. I'm supposed to be there for 2:30 and it's nearly 10 past. I'm always late. So what I was thinking about the last few days was retro motorbikes. You know, can you classify all of them as retro motorbikes when there's so many different sort of base points that they've been made from? So I was thinking there's like 4 different classifications. There's modern retro, modern classic and classics. The bikes that inspired it all. So the modern classics, I think, the modern retros are things like the Yamaha XSR 900, XSR 700, they're a sort of a good example. Because they're basically a modern bike. You know, they've got a road going sort of basic iteration, the MT-07, MT-09, and they've decided to, these manufacturers have decided to make a retro bike out of them. So you've got the XSR 700 and the XSR 900, so they're just dressed up production bikes really, modern frames and suspension and whatnot. And then that leads you on to what I would say is the retro class, which is the most popular. These are the newer bikes that have been built specifically to look old, you know, old frames, old style frames and twin shock rear suspension, that kind of thing. So you get things like your Triumph Bonneville, Kawasaki W800, what else have you got in there? Loads of them, Royal Enfield, Interceptor, Continental GT, all those kind of things. So there's loads of them. They've got a frame that's specifically built to, you know, tubular steel frames and whatnot. Is this light going to change? Nah, I'm going to get to the front. Woohoo. This is outside my old work, Bangor Village Hospital, where I work. They're building houses in there now. Primary school, shops, the whole lot. Maybe even have a pub. Yeah, so like I say, the retro bikes have got their tubular steel frames and things, mostly air-cooled engines, although the new BSA is liquid-cooled. The Triumph Bonneville series are all liquid-cooled now as well, basically because of emissions. It's getting hard to sort of build an air-cooled bike these days that can meet the emission standards. So that's your retro bikes, and that leads me on to the modern classics, and there's only really a couple I can think of now, and I might be wrong with one of them, but that would be the Moto Guzzi V7. It's quietly evolved sort of over the decades through various iterations, but there's always been like that medium capacity engine size and a sort of basic frame and suspension. So I would class that as a modern classic because it's really just an evolution of a motorcycle that's been on the go for ages. And the other one I can think of just now is what I'm sitting on, the Royal Enfield Classic 350. For decades, Royal Enfield have had their Classic 350, their Bullet 350 really was the main one, Bullet 500, and they've sort of evolved over the decades. And well, as far as they could take it, you know, the Bullet 500, they did the best they could with that, but eventually emissions and noise and whatever else got the better of it, so they had to basically scrap that and start a new platform altogether. So we've got this Royal Enfield J platform, they call it, and the Meteor's based on this, but I would put the Meteor as a retro cruiser, a retro bike really, because it sort of appeared out of nowhere to look old. But the 350 Classic, I would say, is an evolution of the old Royal Enfields. And that's about the only two I can think of just now that have evolved over decades into what I would call a modern classic. It's basically a classic bike that refused to die and has just evolved. And then you've got obviously your classic bikes, your original BSAs and Triumph Bonnevils and things. So, hey, Humpback Ridge. So you've got them, loads of them. They basically inspired this whole retro bike movement again. So feel free to comment on what you think of that. You know, just sort of say what you think. If you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. Hate this corner, you get folk cutting all the time. Maybe you disagree with me, but I would like to know why, you know, rather than just, oh, you're a bloody idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, and this bike should have been here, and that bike should be that, and the V7 isn't a modern classic. I'm just guessing for what I've seen. You know, it's sort of, like I say, I think it's evolved from something for decades. So yeah, if you feel like agreeing or disagreeing, then please comment below and we'll have a wee healthy discussion about it. There, so that's that subject covered. What else can I talk about that I've been thinking about lately? I don't know. Editing software, I really need to do something about that. Because just now what I'm doing is recording footage and then downloading it for the camera onto my phone. I've got a Castle Brave 6 Plus now, and I got the external microphone for it that plugs in, so I can record some audio while I'm riding along. It's a nice enough camera, it's got pretty good image stabilisation on it, and yeah, so I've got that. But what I find is sometimes I go to download a video onto my phone and it won't download, and then the next wee segment that I've recorded will. So I don't know what's going on. But what I have found is if I set the camera to like dash cam, where it records in wee 3-minute segments, the phone seems to be able to deal with them better than if I recorded like a 9-10 minute video. So I've got a laptop that my daughter gave me that I can use for my YouTube, but the memory's pretty full on that, so I'll need to see if she's okay with me binning all her photographs and our music and stuff like that. And then get an editing software, start using that to make my videos a bit more, I wouldn't say professional, but a bit more polished than they are currently, you know, a bit of music and whatnot. So yeah, I've Soggy Boss recommended Filmora, so I'll have a look at that. But I don't want to be spending a fortune because money's tight. So something sort of reasonably cheap. to use. So if you've got any recommendations for editing software that I can use on the laptop, then they'd be more than welcome. Also making a wee logo. I'll need to make a wee logo for myself, a wee introduction video as well, like the All Year Motorcyclist. He's got a brilliant introduction video, so I'd like to do something like that to stick on the start. Yeah, so please step forward with any recommendations or hints and tips. But I'd like to sort of try and improve, pardon me, I'd like to try and improve the quality of the videos that I'm making. There we go, that van's just stopped next to an empty lay-by. I can see a wee bit of fly tipping coming on there. That's a notorious bit for fly tipping. Especially after Christmas, you get all the boxes and old toys that the kids used to have that are getting flung out to get replaced with new toys that won't get played with for more than a few days. This is another wee dodgy bit in the winter. This is a north-facing slope, and it quite often ices over and cars end up in that field. I've seen it a few times over the winters, a few cars sitting in there, bemused drivers just having a wee look round thinking what the heck happened. Yeah, so watch out for north-facing slopes in the winter. So like I say, I'm basically heading north at the moment. You can see over to Fife over there. There's a hill over there, the Knock Hill. It's kind of behind the road sign just now. That's where the racing circuit is. Go there for the touring cars, and I haven't been to the bike racing for a good few years, but my big brother used to take me to the bike racing decades ago when I were but a teenager. Hang on, bit of roadworks here. My visor's steaming up and I'm trying to hold my breath. There we go. Thanking y'all. This is good. The West Lothian are really good at patching up the potholes. There was ones along the street from my house. They were only there a matter of days, and then they were patched up again. You get these little deep potholes just now. That's my visor clear. You get these little deep potholes that the frost's made. It's sort of got under the tarmac and cracked it up. So West Lothian Council, thumbs up to them. This is their Sainsbury's or something. Sainsbury's. So thumbs up to West Lothian Council for taking care of their potholes. Because the roads up round the Basket Hills here are generally pretty good condition, as you can see. I think it's 2000, was it 2006? Might have been. Maybe not as far back as that, but they basically went to town and re-tarmacked everything up round here. And because they were getting into a bit of a state, you know, and obviously folk are making claims for their suspension getting smashed up and things, so they went to town, resurfaced most of the roads, or pretty much all of them I think, round the Basket Hills, and done a good job of maintaining them ever since. I'm sure there'll be other people that will bemoan everything the council does, but you know, they folk that are always looking for something to greet about. My bin hasn't been emptied. Well, that's because you either never put it out or the lid's sticking up and you've got all the wrong stuff in it. But hey ho, that's your problem. And they never grit the roads. Well, they do. You know, I've seen the gritters out. I've been out and about in the car and the motorbike at the start of the winter, and I've seen gritters everywhere. I used to work night shift at Bangor and I was outside all the time, and you'd see the gritters going about through the night, snowplows if it was really bad. So I don't know, you just get these people that aren't happy unless they're greeting about something. But I tend to be more on the positive side. I look at roadworks and think, well, there's people working, earning money. The people that supply them with all their stuff, they're earning money, you know, it's all good. Holds you up for a few minutes, but once it's done, whatever's been done is an improvement. You know, fixing potholes or sort of restructuring roads so they're safer. You get them, especially over the decades, I've noticed the road from Callander up to Tyndrum, that got improved. A lot of bad bends were sort of reprofiled so they weren't as bad, and they've widened it and stuff like that. So there used to be crashes. We've got pals up near the Isle of Skye, and genuinely you wouldn't be able to travel up there without seeing some really bad looking crashes, cars upside down in ditches. There was another one actually I seen up the side of Loch Lubnig. It was a yellow Punto, and I thought it was a convertible, and I thought, oh, that's nice. And then as we're getting way through by the police, it's up an embankment. It was up an embankment, and it was actually a three-door car with a roof, but it went up into the trees, and the roof had been cleaved off with a branch. So God knows what happened to the occupants. Sure, buddy. Anyway, yeah, so we used to travel up north, and you would see a lot of bad crashes, but they reprofiled some of the corners, widened the roads at bits, relayed the sort of bad tarmac in a lot of areas. But the only problem now is they've went and put up the average speed cameras, so you can't enjoy it as much as you used to. It used to be great fun howling up and down those roads, but there's a lot of average speed cameras. That's us going over the Union Canal and Lithgow now. A lot of barges and things. You can rent barges and go all the way from Edinburgh to Glasgow now, because they linked up the Union Canal and the Forth and Clyde Canal. It had been blocked in places for years. And yeah, so it was a Millennium project. They had to raise a big section of the M8 motorway. And it's kind of near Broxburn. As you're passing Broxburn, they raised the motorway to go over the canal rather than just ploughing through it. And they built the Falkirk Wheel to connect the two canals, because the Union Canal is I'm sure it's called a contour canal that has to follow the lie of the land, whereas the Forth and Clyde Canal, I can't remember what kind of canal it's called, but it's got locks that deal with the gradients, instead of sort of rerouting it all over the place. So yeah, that's the difference between the two canals. Yeah, what the heck was I talking about before I came in here? Oh yeah, aye, the roads up through the Highlands and stuff. And the speed cameras have kind of spoiled it all. I mean, it is possible to crack on in a bike and still be safe, but there are the folk that their expectations of themselves outweigh their actual skills, and they do end up having a bad one up there. So that's the canal again. That's the canal up there over us. I've canoed it a few times. There's a race, is it May? I'm sure it was May or June. There was sort of a timed race thing. You could paddle a kayak or a canoe all the way from the middle of Glasgow to Edinburgh over 2 days, and then it was sort of a light-hearted fun thing, and they would hand out prizes for the best in class and whatnot. So me and my pal, I had a big two-seater sit-on-top kayak at the time, so we did that. Another couple of guys, and we would swap over, sort of a relay thing, would swap over every few miles, and then the guys that got out would drive along to the next meeting point. and then we'd all swap over again and end up in the middle of Edinburgh, kind of round about Fountain Park area. The canal comes to a stop there. Used to be a lot of breweries and industry and things like that in that area, but it's all sort of knocked down now and rejuvenated with office blocks and flats and student accommodations and stuff like that, nice restaurants and things all sort of around the canal basin. So again, a lot of people, like I was saying earlier, sort of bemoan change, but as long as it's changed for the better, I don't mind. Don't mind at all. I was waiting on this Range Rover overtaking me, but I was quite happy sitting back there. So. Anyway. Yeah, this is a nice wee road. This is us heading east towards Winchborough. Winchborough, Uphall, Broxburn, Uphall Station, all these kind of things they sort of grew because of the shale oil industry. It was amongst the first mineral oil to be discovered in the world. They would dig up the layers of shale and process the oil out of it. So there's a lot of what's called bings, the slag heaps, but we call them bings round here. And the big sort of reddish orange coloured things where they've cooked all the oil out, and you've got that sort of red slaty looking shale left behind. So a lot of them have been taken down and levelled out and grassed over and things, wee walks around them, but a few of them I think have got industrial heritage status now, because they used to be classed as unsightly, but now they're sort of an important part of Scotland's industrial past. There's one over there, you can just see it. A lot of folk go up with their off-road motorbikes and tootle about, but the people that own them, I don't know who owns them now, they sort of block them off, block the entrances off to try and discourage people going in, because obviously they're not particularly safe. They were never designed for that purpose, and the ground could collapse away a lot and stuff. So yeah, a lot of them have been blocked off, but you still find your way around if you're determined to get in. I'll have to take a wee tour of the bings someday, give you all a closer look, find out a bit more information about them. I can't even remember the name of the guy. James Paraffin Young, that was it. James Young, called James Paraffin Young. There's a closer look at it. Aye. So, if I mind right, he was quite I'm sure he was one of these sort of temperance movement kind of people that would, even though he had a big house, it wasn't overly lavished. It was quite religious. I'm sure a lot of churches were built with that kind of money as well. Like I said, I don't know enough about it, even though I've lived here all my life and been aware of the bings and slightly aware of what the history of them is. I'll need to dig into it a bit more, if you pardon the pun. Dig into West Lothian mining. I know there was one particularly bad accident at the Starlaw mine. There's a wee bit just on the outskirts of Bathgate, on the eastern end of Bathgate, it's called Starlaw, but the actual Starlaw mine was sort of further southeast really than that, and there was a bad fire under the ground. So I read an account about it, and it was quite harrowing. It was a very detailed account. Whereas a lot of these things, back in the day, they would maybe list briefly what happened and who was killed and stuff like that. It was very sort of sterile account of what happened, but this was really detailed and it was a few pages long, and I really got into reading it, and I thought, geez, so I looked on Google Earth and zoomed in and I actually can see slightly the scars on the ground where the Starlaw pit used to be. And yeah, it's just strange looking at that. And there's a hill behind it, Seafield Bing, that's been levelled out with walkways that I used to walk up years ago. And I've actually sort of looked down into that field and never knew what had went on. There's that flat-topped hill, that's a Bing over there. Yeah, so I never knew what had went on in that field below, but it's quite an interesting story, so I'll maybe post up something more about that when I'm making a video about the Bings. Look at this, Lynchburg Academy. Gone from a small town up to a big town now. New builds everywhere. And yeah, it's the same all over the country. There's just new builds. These things, bland looking. You don't know where you are in the country now looking at houses. You know, different areas of the country had their different styles of houses, and we don't really know now. You could be anywhere looking at these things. So as you can tell, I'm not overly keen on new builds and whatnot, but hey, like I say, it provides jobs, provides housing, and hopefully they'll evolve into some sort of, they'll have a community spirit. Just thousands and thousands of them. I mean, where are they all coming from, these people? I know folk are growing up and having kids, and the kids are moving out, but all the people are dying, so their houses are getting refilled with people, so yeah, just countrywide, hundreds of thousands of new houses getting built. So we're just about there now, just about at the Tally Hole pub. It won't be complaining about all the new houses and all the new people. It should be doing quite well out of it. This is going over the canal again, the canal bridge. There it is. Here we are, the Tally Ho pub. I'll let that guy get across the road. There's a few bikes here already. I'll get parked in here if that lassie moves at the road. There's room for another one. Yeah, there's Alistair's bike. I'll get parked in front of that. Who's all here? Yeah, so there's the pub. It's looking quite nice. Got some seats outside now as well. I hope the food's good. I do like a pub lunch. I can see a few recognisable faces for the club in there. Right, that'll do, mate. That's us here. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my rambles, and like I say, please comment below on what you think of the whole retro motorcycle classifications.